Somebody's coming up. Something's serious. Somebody's coming up. Something's serious.
That's right outside the door. Hey, get back in. Get back. This is a big fucking signal. How you doing, Vasquez? Talk to me. Almost there. Okay. 12 meters. 11. 10. And then right on us. 9 meters. Short control bursts. 8 meters. 7. It's reading right now. You're not reading it right. 5 meters, man. 4. What the hell?
Hey, everybody. It is Sunday with Sapien. Nice to see you here. Let's see who's in the room. I have to apologize for being a little bit late, and I'm going to be cutting this relatively short, maybe about an hour. So someone keep track of the time for me. I am a little discombobulated right now because I just got serious work happening in the paid job, and just have some problem solving to do, and it's really racking my brain. So I'm kind of in a weird mental state as I'm doing some problem solving here. But we will have this good discussion. It's been a while. Happy 2019. Let's see who is in the room. Let's see. I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top here. Springtrap Gaming. What's up, Renee? Digital Jedi. Yuan. Dan Champion. Good morning. Let's see. Graham Houston. The time changed just because I got busy with work. So I tried to wedge this in, but even as I got up and started preparing for things, I knew I wasn't going to get to it on time. Honestly, I probably shouldn't be doing this right now. I probably should be working on this other stuff, but I wanted to have this little conversation. It's been a while since I talked to you guys. But yeah, I just got I'm working on a case that's just got some major data that needs to be visualized in a way that's comprehensible, and it's just so much of it. I'm trying to figure out how to put it together. Let's see who else is in the room. Dun, dun, dun. Was that Tim Osman I saw in the room? Emotionally mimetic psychopath. A cake surgeon. Brainery. Hey, what's up? The boss is in the room. DC Ragnar. Hey, what's up, Tech Satan? Let's see. Are you over in the mod room as well? Yes, you are. Did the Illuminati successfully suppress the live stream? That's funny. You guys crack me up. Let's see who else is in the room. Hold on a second. Let me get back to my proper window. Joe Kovacs, good morning. Let's see. Paul Story. Blake Swenson, hey. Let's see. What are you doing? Personality aware. Editing a vid. Cool. Yeah, I'm editing 2 right now. I've got 2, maybe 3 dropping this week. I might do a third one, just kind of a vamp on comic stuff. Sean Everett, good morning. Who else is it? Rob Davison. God of Spaghetti. God of Spaghetti. You probably know how it's going because I kind of said that I'm in a weird mental state just because I'm shifting from massive columns of 100 or so data points to trying to organize that into a nice visual representation of evidence, facts. It's what we deal with. And then shift into just having a conversation. For the last 2.5 hours, I've just been crunching numbers and trying to figure this out. And Now I'm here. So, like I said, I might seem a little nothing personal. Oh, hey, I don't know if you noticed, I have some new shirts uh, going on here. This is a new shirt here. This one I'm going with here. There, check that one out. And that is available in Teespring or something. Little things show up on the videos now. But yeah, because physics doesn't care. So so if you go on my videos, you can see a little Teespring there. Blah blah blah. All the T-shirts. I have a few of those. I have one for math, which I know some of you think needs to be pronounced called maths. I saw that. Some mugs with the same slogan on it. Let's see. Bum bum bum. Yeah. Well, I would meditate, and I do on a fairly regular basis, but just don't have time today. I was sleeping. That was my meditation. No, actually, I was working on this problem up until about 1 a.m. and then I just decided it's not working. I just need to go to sleep. So wake up and work on it again. Yes, it's just a plain. Yeah, this is all instantly generated CGI cat. That's just how good we NASA shills are. That's just how good we are. That's funny. So, like I said, I'm a little disorganized. I meant to get this whole little PowerPoint list of different comments that I wanted to respond to. I meant to get it together. What's the R4? Oh, there you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's see here. Oh, so let's see. Let's see what I put in my little intro. One thing I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there seems to be a weird vibe of hey to Santiago, Chile. Uh, Jota Reyes. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. You guys are tripping. Uh, what was I gonna say? So I don't know about you, but it seems to me that that the globe denying community is getting more and more desperate. Uh, the type of content they're putting out is much more like vitriolic and personal, uh, and some of them are just straight losing it. I think it's amazing some of the things that are going on with these guys, and it's getting they're running out of ideas, they're running out of claims, they're looping themselves. They've always kind of been in a loop in terms of the arguments they use, um, and so now I find that they're just doing more and more personal attacks on people, which I think is very telling. And then you have people like what's it Daniel Pratt just you know losing their business, just losing it. People getting doxxed. It's crazy. Yeah, it's um, it would be it would be funnier if it wasn't so tragic, but it's still kind of funny. I find it amazing. And then you have people like D Marble who doesn't seem to be imploding, but he seems to be trying to move himself into more like a life coach type of position, kind of like having, giving people advice and trying to drift off onto other. I notice he's trying to drift his content onto other subjects because I think he's seeing that that this is drying up. I don't think he's any less of a believer, but I think he sees that this is drying up and is trying to find other avenues. And so his content is becoming more this kind of preachy, build people up, lifestyle choices type of conversation. Uh, yes, remember to eat, not just gin. Yes, that was fun. Oh, so did you guys? How did you like my little bit of artwork that I did for. Do I have it here? Oh yeah. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm not gonna put that up. Let me find a PowerPoint, stick it in there. Guys, so someone's referring to the video I was involved with Team Skeptic, and let's see. Let's do application window. Let's do this guy right here, and this little bit of artwork right here. You guys saw that? So this is in addition to my little piece within the video. Within the video, I also drew this for him for him to make a little memes out of. So just has a transparent background. You can do whatever you want to with it. Which allowed him to pad his video with some of the other stuff, which was kind of fun. So yeah, this is available. I don't know if he's giving it out to people, but Team Skeptic has the file on this guy here. Well, so do I, but that was fun. But let's take this down so you're not still looking at that thing. That's kind of just, even though it's a kind of a caricature, it's a little disturbing. A little disturbing. Yes. You're watching me instead of watching the morning talk shows or the NFL playoffs. Yes. I forgot that the playoffs were even happening. I was kung fu yesterday and someone came in and was like, "Hey man, the score is this already." I'm like, "The score for what?" I forgot all about the playoffs. Since nobody local's in it, no one in the Bay Area seems to care. Because I don't even know, maybe someone is local in it. JP says, I personally don't mind Daniel Pratt. I don't know why you don't mind him. The man seems to be deranged and does a tremendous amount of personal attacks. I'm not a fan of Team Skeptic going around humiliating people as a form of education. Well, okay, I can understand that. But have a problem with what Team Skeptic does and yet be fine with the personal attacks that Pratt does. Seems to be a little have a little double standard there, a little hypocritical. I mean, it's fine, but I'm just saying it doesn't seem like a legitimate point. Because he doesn't just sit there and just rant about the flat earth. He calls people out personally, making personal insults, and this is very direct. So, Team Skeptic calls people idiots, but these guys do worse. I mean, for example, I don't know if you noticed, there's a trend among, and I'm sure Brett does love you, Sean. There's a trend amongst the globe deniers. And only reason I say it's amongst them because I don't really look at other people's stuff that much. So I only see the people who come at me. And there's this thing about attacking people's manhood. That's like a thing that they do when they get to a point where they can't. And Pratt's casual anti-Semitism. There's when they can't. When they get to a point where they can't push the facts anymore and they don't have a real comeback. One of the first things they go after is the masculinity of the person they're talking about. Whether it's let's see, Fight the Flat Earth or Simon Dan or me. It's always, let's try to act like they're less masculine. For example, like with the whole thing that D Marble and I had, it's like when he didn't have a point to make and he didn't have any more uh, data to talk about or facts to talk about, he tried to imply that I was gay because that's all he had. It's like, oh, okay, well, I have to, if I can't be a smarter man than him, I have to be more man than him. Sorry, I just saw something from, it was like Tim Osmond. I don't have time for you, man. You really are just like a stealth troll. I just don't have time for you. And then, for example, with D Marble and Simon Dan had a nice, solid takedown of D Marble's positions and points, and he had nothing to say about it. So, he had to talk about him being a cook, and go after him for being less manly, because they don't have anything, but they have their pride and this whole idea of manhood, so they go after that. It's kind of pathetic and sad, but it's very telling about where their security lies. So, so anyway, that's well, offshoot of, I think it's an offshoot of them just running out of things to talk about. Anything in the first, I don't know if anybody's doing any mods are doing anything in Discord. Let me pull that over here so I can have something else to look at. Many screens as possible. Oh, and by the way, folks, I have a baby monitor just around the corner from me here. Uh, my mother-in-law just got back from the hospital. She's not doing, she's not 100%. So I have a baby monitor just around the corner. So if I happen to go shit and get up and hit mute and walk out, um, most likely that's why something's happened that I need to step away. So there's always a possibility of that, and I just want to give you a heads up on that. Let's see. Let's see. Let me get back through here. Got a spaghetti. Got a spaghetti. That's okay. So one thing I try to stay away from is actually accusing people of being criminal. I might talk about them having issues with whatever emotional imbalance, but uh, I, as much as I think Mr. Marble was kind of laughable, uh, I try to stay away from like calling his van a pedo van and things like that, because that's kind of alluding to a level of criminality that I wouldn't, I don't want to put on anybody. And I don't know if you folks have noticed that one of the filters I have in my comments are like, pedophile, pedo, and things like that, because it's one thing to say somebody's a creep and someone's an idiot or a loser or something like that. But even in the comments, when you start accusing people like, that type of level of corruption, criminality, and depravity, I don't, even if I don't agree with the person, I don't think that's something that should be done. So those tend to get, if I find them, they get pulled. Mr. Thrive and Survive is not on my regular path of things to look at. I find him just a little too foolish. Let's got a super chat from 0132132. Let's see what your comment is. Any updates on the poll to poll thing? And expect you to get your money back. I hadn't heard anything at all. Okay, I do have a kind of an update. It's going to come out next week to the whole project thing. I'll talk about that in about a week. But that was past the whole Kickstarter poll to poll fraud thing was kicked over to the FBI, and they basically said, you've done all the steps you can. You've given them all the information you can. I even gave them the information that people had kind of pulled up about like who had originated like certain websites and things like that. And I didn't just put in an online form. I did all that, but I also called and talked to an agent directly about it. And they basically said, you've done pretty much all you can do. It's in our hands now. We'll let you know if anything comes of it. If we can find the person. And so they basically said, you've done what you can do. The next thing I need to do is I need to talk to a tax person, because I still need to pay taxes on the money that I received, because technically I received it. So I have to figure out how to deal with that. So I need to get a good tax lawyer to deal with all that. So that's the update. I will have something else to talk about next week that's slightly related. Anything from the Discord? Actually, would I consider a live discussion with a famous comedian who wants to know the legit science of the globe? Which funny because I actually just I think it's first that you called this person a famous comedian since I've never heard of this person until this current thing. And what is his name? What's the comedian's name who's having this whole discussion about flat Earth now? Can somebody pop his name up? Who knows who the comedian is? I think ba, ba, ba. Owen Benjamin. Thank you. Um, I don't think I've ever heard of him until this. So I guess he's kind of well known. I guess, but I'd never heard of him. Uh, but yeah, I saw something on him yesterday. But I wasn't sure if this live stream was going to happen. So I was going to drop him a line saying, "Yeah, come and have a conversation." Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem having a discussion. Um, I have no desire to have a uh, debate with anybody, especially if this person's just curious. That'd be fine. Um, but yeah, I would be perfectly willing to, um, if it fit within my time. He's a comedian, so he probably has a lot more free time on his hands because he makes his own schedule. But I don't. I have a 9 to 5. Actually, I don't have a 9 to 5. I have like a 7 to 7. That's kind of how my job works these days. We're unusually busy. But that's so Travis, Traversy Bear. Yeah, that's my answer to that. Hold on a second. I'm hearing something in the other room. All right, I think we're good. All right. You were today years old when you heard of Owen Benjamin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's let's see. The Big Bear didn't say about flourish. They cannot alter their mindset. They do have a hard time altering their mindset. Lincoln Young, okay, thank you. Don't know what that's supposed to mean. You're not making a point. You're just saying, typing letters randomly. Famous equals he has some YouTube subs. Okay, I got it. I'll check the person out to see if he's actually. I saw a little bit last night where he was camping or something. I think he was camping, and he was just saying that he doesn't understand how these things can work, and it just doesn't make sense, and it just doesn't add up, um, and it's just one of those. It's an obvious kind of argument from incredulity. It's like if I don't understand it, it must not be real. Uh, and it comes back to this kind of this inflated value that we put on our own thoughts and our own knowledge. If I know it, it must be right. If I don't know it, it's not because I'm wrong. It's because something else is wrong. Uh, and people need to get away from that. Um, there are people who know more things than you. There are people who have more experience in these things than you. Um, doesn't mean that you have to guarantee absolutely believe them, but to assume that your understanding is the reality is well, it's faulty. Let's just put it that way. So that's up there. Let's see. There are a few little. I'm going to make a couple more slides here so I can talk about some things. But I want you to see them. New slide. All right. Let's see who's going here. China, you know what? China moon mission. I haven't looked into it. I'm assuming there's there's legitimacy to the mission. But at the same time, China's known to mess with stuff, so there's always a possibility that they've mixed some things in there. So I haven't looked into because I've literally just been way too busy. I'm planning some big projects, so I don't have a lot of free time. It's either like work, family, or you know, planning these other projects. Um, so I haven't had a chance to look into the China mission. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a mixture of real and propaganda, you know, in the China mission stuff. Wouldn't be surprised at all. But at the same time, I see no it's there's no reason for like the United States to uh, prop up them if they're being fake. There's no reason for that. So I don't think they'd get the support of European Space Agency, NASA, if they were faking things. Let's see. Mr. Thrive and Survives video claims that Kepler's law. Stop. He just needs to stop right there. Just stop. Has been debunked by the apparent speed of the moon. He doesn't understand the speed in the stars and such for other reason. Yeah. Like I said, once, once one of these people starts trying to say that they've disproven or, a long-standing law of physics, they just need to stop. I don't have time for them. Let's see. Watching Shane Rushton feel like watching a lunar eclipse answers a lot of questions. It does answer a lot of questions, unless you don't want answers. That's the thing. I do find it amazing that there's not a whole lot of eclipse talk going around this time. Usually, the last few eclipses, the last lunar, the last solar, there was always kind of a wind up with videos of how the eclipse disproves the globe and the solar eclipse disproves the globe and the lunar. There was a whole bunch of that. And of course, all that stuff got shot down thoroughly. And it was just them showing their ignorance of the science. But I was surprised, first off, that after screwing up the solar eclipse evidence, that they continued to talk about the lunar eclipse. And apparently now maybe they understand that it's not a spot for them to argue, so they don't bring it up anymore. It's just not coming up nearly as much, and these things tend to be a trend. So I find it interesting because the lunar eclipse is great evidence of the shape of the Earth and the positions of the Earth and the Moon and the Sun and the whole geometry and trigonometry, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Let us see what else is going on. Who else is in the room? Let me throw something together for you guys. Little things to discuss. Now, someone asked me a question the other day. Hold on here. Bum, bum, bum. So I'm going to throw a couple comments up because I told people I would discuss them on camera here. So I got one from this gentleman. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. Here we go. Sorry for the Pratt sticking in the corner there. So this gentleman, Jay Rocksterism, asked a question the other day. Why does the sun appear in our atmosphere? I don't know what that word was supposed to be. Our atmosphere is the whole galaxy traveling millions of miles an hour along with the Earth, the sun, the moon, etc. Why is Polaris always the same spot? Orion's belt's always in the same spot. Everything must be traveling and doing exactly as the Earth does in order to be with us at all times, right or wrong? Riddle me. Those are the satellites. If they exist, speeding, rotating must be and being repositioned on a globe Earth. Come on, people. That is traveling millions of miles per hour. Why do we not hit anything else? Okay, so reason I'm putting this up here because it's indicative a lot of the questions that I end up getting on a pretty much a daily basis, and I told him that I would be answering it here. So I don't know if J Rock happens to be here in the room, but I told him I'd answer it here. So does the why does the sun appear to be in our I'm assuming that means the sun. It doesn't appear to be in our atmosphere. I'm not certain what you mean by appear to be in our atmosphere. We're seeing it through our atmosphere. Everything we see through our atmosphere. So we're inside it. We cannot look at anything outside it without looking through it. So it's just kind of that's just the nature of looking at things. So I don't know what you mean by appears to be in our atmosphere because it doesn't. Is the whole galaxy traveling millions of miles per hour along with the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun? Well, yeah, we're all kind of rotating in the same, yeah, in the same system. So yes, it is the whole galaxy. We're all kind of rotating at slightly different rates because some of us are on the outer rim and some of them are on the inside. So there's a different rate there. But yeah, they're all kind of rotating together. Some a little faster, some a little slower. But let's see real quick. Let me cut back before I go back to here. But like much like a why am I so short? If you think of a string that you're whipping around, right? Picture that. Now you have a point on the end that's rotating at a certain speed, and you have a point here that's rotating at a certain speed, but they do still stay in line with each other as they go around. So it's not, it's not that, they're attached to, even though they're going different speeds, they're still relatively in the same angular position. I mean, there might be a little bit acceleration, especially if I'm whipping something around my hand, I'm changing things, but that angular change is the same. So they stay in line with each other. So for the most part, we have that going on with other things in the objects in our galaxy. But let's go back to that real quick. So why is Polaris always in the same spot? It's not. That's just people keep saying that, but it's not. If you ask people who actually pay attention to these things, they will tell you that they've been keeping records of these things for a long time, and they're not in the same spot. It's not. Uh, it hasn't moved much because things are really, really far away, but they still have moved because people in the past were really good about concentrating and paying attention to where things were and making extensive notes of the angles that things were at. And so people who are, the astronomers who are working on it now have access to all that old information because all that stuff it's always passing down that old knowledge. And the record shows that things have changed. They haven't changed in our lifetime much because our lifetimes are really short. But over the lifetime of the science, it's changed. Everything must be traveling, doing exactly as the Earth does to be without right or wrong. It's not either right or wrong because it's doing things with us to a degree, but the distances are so vast that we don't notice the change. Let's see. Riddle me, those are the satellite, if they exist and speeding and rotating and must be and being repositioned on a globe Earth that are traveling millions of miles per hour. Why do we not hit anything? We hit things all the time. But if if we're all going in the same direction, there's no reason for us to hit anything. I mean, especially the satellites we have, we don't hit our satellites; they fall into us. But we kind of run into stuff all the time, and stuff runs into us all the time. They're constantly being bombarded by small things. Let's see, blah 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 blah. Answer me those questions. Well, I did to the best of my ability, given the vagary of the questions. Let's see who else is in the room. I don't want to ignore you folks and anybody in the Discord that might have something. Oh, do I have anything planned for the eclipse? I haven't had time. I have very large projects coming up that kind of take precedent over that. Um, but you will not be disappointed um, in what I'm doing in replace of the the eclipse. Let me scroll back. I missed a bunch. And let's get my. Oh, let me get back on screen so you don't have to look at that little tiny Daniel Pratt in the corner anymore. Sorry about that. That's kind of disturbing, I'm sure. Let's see. Yes, scale and relativity. This when you get into relativity, that's just too much for him. Even though it's not. The thing is I don't understand why uh, globe deniers or people who are falling short on understanding um, don't seem to be able to take their understanding of relativity uh, beyond like beyond their local situation. Everyone knows how relativity works, just like inherently. We know that if they hate hearing it, but we know that if we're on a plane going at a nice steady, or let's make it a boat on a nice steady, you know, um, vector, not changing direction, not being bounced up and down, nice and smooth, steady speed, that you can throw a ball up in the air. You can be, if you're in the hull, especially, and you have no sense of the outside, you're not looking at and seeing things moving around. You're down beneath where you don't get to visually see the outside. You throw something in the air, someone can tell you, "Oh, hey, we're going 650 knots right now," but you won't go, "Oh my God, how can I throw this ball? I'm going 50 knots. If I throw this ball, it's going to go flying out the window." No, you know inherently that everything's going to be the same. It's like the laws of physics work the same in that when you're all kind of moving at that pace. But for some reason, when when we start thinking about the Earth, they start thinking, well, why when we jump in the air, don't we just go flying off to the side? It's like, well, why would we? Why all of a sudden does their innate understanding of how relative speeds and velocities and physics work? They know that on a regular daily basis, yet for some reason they can't take it to that next level. For some reason the Earth and the sun and the moon are special to them, and they need some type of special physics other than the physics that they're used to on a daily basis. I don't understand it. Someone actually put "Go Trump" in my chat. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a little bit behind on here. You're a little late, young blue, but I was a little bit late, and I'm not staying for too long because I just got a lot of work to do. Uh, all of a sudden, I'm getting that. Can you hear that high pitch? Something going on. Uh, uh, Dang, Joss. Yes, the North Star used to be different thousands of years ago. I can't remember what it used to be off the top of my head. And Polaris wasn't called Polaris until it got to be the North Star. Then they changed the name to Polaris. Hmm. Sparky Chapstick asks, "What made me start debunking globe deniers?" Well, it was I was originally doing uh, moon landing denial stuff, and that was because a friend of mine was kind of a moon landing denier, and the person who does the music for me that I use was a moon landing denier, and was was using that, talking about that in his podcast. So my counter to that was to uh, put out a few videos for him to see and for other people to see. And so that's when I started getting into dealing with landing denial. But what happened is I can't remember who I was having the exchange to. I can probably go back and find it, but I was having exchanges with somebody or a few different people, and I was trying to explain the physics and how certain things were working. And the person's like, "But how does that work? You know, given that the moon is not even that far away, and and the Earth is flat." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, the Earth is flat." And I'm like, "Are you serious?" And I thought the person was just trolling. But then over a period of probably a couple months, I just started getting more and more people coming to me claiming that the Earth was flat, and I'm like, okay, uh, let's deal with this. And so then I started making these. Sorry for that. All right, so that's how I got into that. Let's see. Gary Waibenga. No, the horizon is not a solid barrier. Yes, someone says it was Thuban. Thank you very much. A lot of people, Brainery, J Rock is not the only person with a problem with scale. I can't remember. I was just having an exchange with somebody yesterday, and they had this day before yesterday, and had this long explanation, and they weren't doing well. And then at the end, they're like, you know, just explain it. I'm done. Um, I'm not going to say anything anymore. But just explain that to me. And I just told them think bigger. That's just my only thing. Told them was just think bigger. It doesn't work for you because you think too small. Cylindrical Earth? No, no, no time for that. No time for cylindrical Earth. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if J Rock's name, but I'm sorry, I'm just going through some of these. Let's see. Oh, these are always fun. Let me get rid of that. So I'm just going to kind of build this as I go. Oops. This one here. Excuse me as I'm doing stuff in the background. Ragnar, stars do move from each other. Space is so big. Yes. The Adventures of Flatman. Is it possible that heliocentrism, which is, just kind of a rough, kind of a loose term because it's not really heliocentric, it's just the solar system, is purely a mathematical model using assumptions of Earth's sphericity and movement around the sun? Well, I guess you could say it's possible, but that's not how it comes about. Um, if you study the history of the development of these systems, people have been watching the sun, the moon, the stars for a long time, and there was a certain assumption that they made, which was that the Earth is the center. That was the basic assumption that the Earth is the center of the universe. That's how they started. Earth is center of the universe. Everything has to be perfect, so everything has to be going in these circles, and they do appear to be in circles. So that means that and since circle is perfect, and God's creations are always, is always perfect. He wouldn't create an imperfect universe according to them. So there was an assumption that Earth was the center because we are the most important, and that everything else goes around us in perfect circles. That's the assumption. Problem is that as they did more observation, they found that that wasn't quite right. Things were acting in a way that didn't go by that basic assumption. So then they had to change that model. It's like, oh, okay, well, since there's kind of this retrograde motion and stuff happening, there's all these things. Okay, how about we need to still keep a certain amount of perfection? Um, so let's say that there's circles within circles, that these things are going on circles that are attached to other circles, and that can explain it. Okay, basic assumption that the Earth was still the center and that everything had to be in circles, but that wasn't working. And so they had to make they didn't have to make it. Somebody made an assumption on Copernicus or whoever it was, that okay, let's see, what if we take the Earth at not be the center and move it over to the sun and see what happens. Let's try that, and then let's see what happens. Well, the math got tighter. It started to work better. Still, the whole perfect circle thing wasn't working. So that's when they had to say, okay, well, what if we allow for there to be elliptical paths, uh, ellipses, and up lo and behold, things got tighter. They started to get better and better. And so, yes, there are a certain amount of assumptions that happen in these things. That's how these hypotheses come about. You say, well, let's say it's this. If it's this, what should it do? And so then we look at it and we measure it against reality, and oh yeah, it fits, but not quite. So maybe we'll refine that thing again. So it's not just a mathematical model based on assumptions. Assumptions were made at one time or another, but then the 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 evidence complied with that, and so then it's no longer an assumption. It's like, oh yeah, it does go on an elliptical path. It fits an elliptical path. Um, so that's how those. I'm not even sure if that was your question. I tend to vamp on these things. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum. And I see some of you guys are mentioning these as I was talking. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah. So talking about elliptical paths, all the paths around the sun are elliptical, but only in the mathematical sense. They're practically circles, but it's but just they're ellipses, but barely. They're barely ellipses. Shivanshu, okay, cool. Thank you for adding that. Shivanshu says that Kepler was the one who came up with the elliptical. So yeah, I wasn't going by names, but going by the progress of going by the basic assumptions that we had. New debunk with earthquake? No. Anything else going on? Any questions? Either direct them to me, just tag me so I can see them, or to like Young Blue, or I don't know who else is in the room. Uh, Shivanshu as well. Any others with wrenches? You can send it to them, and they can get my attention. Speaking of, let's see. I'm just going to get rid of that one because that one's not worth it. The lunar eclipse is related. So, someone named there was Music Channel Charts Pakistan made the claim, and they do this all the time. Let's see. And only bringing it up because of the eclipse coming up. Hello, Black Uncle. I don't know what these people are up to, but with due respect, your time of research at NASA is predicting how NASA is predicting for lunar eclipses. On NASA website, it is written that NASA is predicting with the Cirrus cycle, formula made, blah, 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 who have absolutely no concerns of whether Earth is flat or a globe, and they have predicted until 2045. Let's see if NASA can predict correctly after that's why I said 2045, after 2045 or not. So here's the thing about the cycle, using the Cirrus cycle. I guess Cirrus cycle. It will tell you, or will tell us, when it'll say when an eclipse is going to happen. And not even down to like the minute, just it's literally a cycle. It's like it's just a repeating pattern that people watching these and keeping records over years and years and years and years and years figured out what the cycle was, and it's just a repeating pattern. But that pattern just says this year, that year, not this year, not this year, that year, this year, not. That's all it does. It just tells you the pattern. It doesn't say anything like what time it's going to happen, or what part of the earth is going to see it or not, and how long it's going to last. None of that is in the Cirrus cycle that is used to predict eclipses. It's not there. In order to do that, you have to have knowledge of the shape of the earth, the shape of the moon, the shape of the earth, moon, and sun, um, their distances, their motions, and how light works. and even how light works in the atmosphere. Without that, you can say, oh, there's going to be an eclipse this year. And you may not see it because it's not on your part of the earth. It's just, oh, it's just grazing the top of the North Pole. Sometimes eclipses happen that way. They just graze the part of the earth and they just move on up. No one was there to see it. But we can predict that because we know what the shape of the planet is and the distance of the moon and the distance of the sun. So then you can use maths to figure that out. So having the cycle is great for a general, oh, by the way, there's going to be an eclipse, this year around this date. But down to the minute, the second, and to the location on the earth, you need to know the shape of the earth. So it's for all of you who keep talking about how the Babylonians didn't think the earth was a globe and they still came up with this. They also thought they missed a bunch of eclipses because they didn't see it, even though the eclipses happened somewhere else. So that's my point there. Let's see. And this one I'm sharing this one I want to share just because it's funny. I'm going to keep this up from now on. Let's see what else is going on in the room. What would I attempt to do to impact the world if you knew you could not fail? What would I attempt to do to impact the world if I knew I could not fail? I would, I'm saying, my first thought is uh, turn Africa into a lush soil filled continent and deal with that. But I don't know how I would do it. But it's like if I was going to do something to impact the world, if I could somehow, uh, make that large continent more friendly in terms of its resources, that would be a big thing. I can, someone says stop religion, that's a good one, Sean Hawkins. Invent free energy, but sorry, I was still staying within the laws of physics on that one. So I thought this was just a funny comment about someone not getting their NASA show paycheck because I actually get asked that a lot about what I get paid. Real quick, I get probably no now. I get asked to debate a lot. And more, my answer to these questions is there's nothing to debate. Oh, yeah, of course, it would totally affect it. Yeah. Things, weather pattern. Yeah, I know. But that was just off the top of my head. This first thing that came to mind without really, thinking into the logistics of everything. Let's see. So I totally get requested challenged to debates at all the time, and more my response is just that there's nothing to debate. As because the more I think about it, I'm not here to debate with people. If people want to have science explained to them, if people need to be educated and they want to have a conversation in order to increase their education, I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to act as if this is, especially when it comes to whether or not the Earth is round. I'm not going to act as if this is a conversation worth a topic worth debating because it is not. Um, it's worth informing people about. It's worth helping clarify the science and facts to people, but it's not worth debating. There is no debate. So more and more, that's the response I'm giving to people. And let's see. Oh, and I keep getting these guys. I want to go through them because I think it's going to have to do with projects. People like Kyle Crow like to claim that, that you can see for hundreds. This little exchange, Kyle Crow says, you can see for hundreds of miles. And of course, it links to, I think this is the Jay Tolan media thing here. Um, and of course, you can see for hundreds of miles. When people act as if seeing for hundreds of miles is an odd thing, I don't understand. For example, if you believe in the flat Earth, and you believe that the sun is near the Earth, it is still thousands of miles away from you, yet you can see it. So when people go, why can we see so far? It's like, because light travels far. Now, uh, so I commented here that this was a Jay Tolan media video, I think, and he was at 30 plus thousand feet. Well, at 30 plus thousand feet, the horizon is on a globe is a couple hundred miles away. So of course you can see for hundreds of miles, even on a globe. So that to think that you shouldn't be able to is to show that you don't understand how things work. Um, and so then I think he links to the Lake Huron video of Jay Tolan, which goes with this comment, uh, series of comments, a nice long discussion I had with this gentleman, uh, Brian Sleeper, who I think also linked to the Lake Huron. And this whole idea that you can uh, see it so far away, and Jay Tolan Media has shown with his infrared pass-through filter that you can see all of these things. And the problem I have with those videos is that he's not showing that you can see something really far away. What he's doing, let's see, slide, for example, find it here, a screenshot. So this is a screenshot from his 1,000-mile visibility, blah, 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 right? He's not showing Hudson Bay here. What he's doing is there are things in the that are nearby within 40, 50 miles. This is like 30 miles away here. This is like 50, 100 miles, 110, 210 miles. This is actually where the horizon is right here, because the visible horizon is about 212 or 215 miles at the elevation he was saying. But then what happens is he then sees a smudge in the dark in the background, and he claims that that's what something is. People say, but he's shown you Hudson Bay from 600 miles away. No, he hasn't. He's shown you a series of pixels that can easily just be the underside of clouds from that far away. And he says that's what it is. And people just believe him. Yeah. So when people come to me and they say, no, he's shown that these things can be seen that far away. No, he hasn't. What he's shown is that there are pixels here, and he's decided that that's what it is. That's what's happened. It's a simple. This whole idea that his infrared pass-through filter is allowing you to see further through the haze than anything else should be done with things that are nearby. For example, one thing that I find very annoying is that he doesn't. It'd be a simple enough thing to do something at uh, sea level with something that's only 10, 15 miles away, 20 miles away. That is dip below the horizon, and show that but that it's not. That people say, oh, it's not. It hasn't gone behind. It's just gone behind the haze, and we can't see it anymore. Well, it's only 20 miles away. Use your pass-through filter and show it. But they don't, and they don't because we would know what it was, because it's that close. We would be able to see it. We'd be able to recognize if it was a mountain or not. What they do is they look at something claim to look at something really far away that requires them to interpret what it is. Oh, that smudge there, it looks like a cloud, but it's not. It's a mountaintop. That's what they do. But when they could easily just do it with something closer and just show, oh, hey, look, that's 20 miles away. Here it is with a regular camera. You can't see it. People think it's gone behind on the horizon. Oh, look at that. There it is. It's further. We can see it. But they don't do that because they would have to other people would be able to confirm what they saw. And this conversation here was amazing because we got into the whole topic of, since he didn't like my answer for that, he got into the whole San Jacinto Mountains shot. And see if I have it here, and see if this GIF will play. I don't know if this GIF is going to play. Bum, 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 bum. No, it's not going to play. Yeah, so let's get rid of that thing there. I will show it this way. Nah, it's still not working. Darn it. Anyway, I have a series of videos. Here we go. Let's do it this way. So what I did was I showed him the San Jacinto Mountains. Here, let's just go with my screen. Hopefully there's not any important information there. But so this shot of the San Jacinto Mountains from, I think it was 120 miles away, and the claim is that you can see the entire mountain, and it was going from horizon to horizon. And now, of course, this person was ignoring the fact that he was zooming in. But so this was the shot from Malibu of the mountain range, 125 miles away, and that is the mountain range. I'm not going to doubt that. But this is the mountain range from about, I think, about 30 miles away, and that's the entire mountain range. And if you were to impose the, you can see that from 125 miles away, all you're seeing is the very top of these mountains. That's all you're seeing is the very top of these mountains. Because if you use a good flat Earth calculator, Walter Bisland has a great one online. At 120 or so miles away, the top 2,000 feet of this mountain range should be seen with standard refraction, not even extreme refraction, just standard refraction. And so there's the entire mountain all the way down. And as you can see, we're just seeing the top of it. We're seeing the top third of maybe a little bit more than a quarter to a third. It's an 8,000 something foot mountain range, and you're seeing over 2,000 feet of it here, but only the top 2,000 feet. But people come to me and they bring me this. But no, sorry guys. That's the way that one worked. Let me stop sharing. Okay, cool. Who else is in the room? I'm going to have to get out of here in about 10 minutes because let's see. Who else is in the room? Let's see. Who else is here? Did I see Osman says it's a 10,800 range? Oh, okay. I don't know if you're correct or not. I don't really believe anything that comes out of your mouth. So, but I was just going off the top of my head. So, yeah, it still works because I said in the top quarter, and it's over 2,000 being seen. But I know that you're here just to be contrary, Tim. So It's Tim, right? Or is it Jim? I think it's Tim. So we'll just leave it at that. Shadow Child, stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. Are you telling me to stay safe? Let's see. NASA fanboy Globehead is here. Hey. There's another photo from Jay Tolan, much better quality. Good for him. Good for him. The only reason I even care is that people keep bringing it up, but I already know what game is being played there. So that's the way that goes. Yeah. So, oh, you're just here to correct me when I'm wrong. Thank you, Tim. You're such a wonderful person for that. I appreciate you so much. Uh, no, it's not late to the, yeah, let's see. I so don't like this guy. Yeah, I did say that out loud. I don't like this guy. He's such a dick. It's just what he does for a living. You're hilarious, dude. But hey, maybe you can make a video about me calling you a dick, because that's what you like to do. Where did the name Greater Sapien come from? It comes Victor Miller, but he likes you. No, Tim doesn't like me. What he likes to do is say he likes people, so then he can criticize them and not sound some and pretend that he's not that much of a dick when he criticizes them. That's what, that's what he does. You see it all the time. What's funny is you see it all the time in like politics. You see somebody come out and they say positive things about somebody early on in a campaign, even though they have nothing, they want to have nothing to do with them. So then later on they say, look, I said, I never had a problem with him. You can see in past things I've said nice things about him. So that means my criticism now is more valid. It's just a game people play. Yeah. Springtrap. I've answered this several times before, but the name Greater Sapien came from, uh, well, it was an evolution first of my original username, because I just had the website, the Gmail of like greaterapes.com, just because I like the idea of people being greater apes. But Greater Apes as a username doesn't work so much. But it comes from the fact that at least going theory was that modern humans are Homo sapiens sapiens, which is a subset of the species Homo sapiens. And so the idea is that we as a people, as modern people, are one sapiens greater than Homo sapiens. We're Homo sapiens sapiens. We're a greater sapiens. But greater sapiens doesn't work so well in terms of a username because it sounds plural to people. Just does. It's like, hi, I'm greater sapiens. And it's like, what? That doesn't quite work. And so just for aesthetic purposes, I cut it to greater sapien. But it comes from us as a people being one greater sapiens than Homo sapiens sapiens. Um, so we're all greater sapiens. Anybody on the Discord? Are there any other topics other than flat Earth I'd like to debunk in the future? I don't know. I don't want to. I honestly don't want to be a debunker. That's just what ends up happening. Soon, most of my videos are going to change in content to more just educational. Uh, so they'll technically be debunking, but it'll be more broad. It's like, okay, these people are talking about this bit of evidence and they're getting it wrong. I'm not going to debunk them so much as just talk about how the evidence actually works, how this law of physics works. So more broad spectrum education stuff on subjects. That's all going to be part of, I've mentioned it before, it's all part of my dialing back in 2019 because I want to, one, my work responsibilities are increasing, my family responsibilities are increasing, and honestly, uh, I want to I want to do more art. I want to get back to doing more artwork, and the time that's taken to do this takes away from the other things I want to do. So I'll be dialing this stuff back. So I won't be doing more debunks, at least not more topics so much. I'll just be doing more different types of videos. The content will change. I'm thinking not changing channels, just having a different set of threads on this channel. So it'll probably throw some people off. They'll be like, hey, Greater Sapien did something. Oh, it's just a comic page. But it's that's what I'll be doing. Yeah. So when I get new content, uh, let us see. Feel free not to answer as it is personal for better or worse. Has anyone approached you in public about my videos? I have been, well, let's see. I've had people contact me separately that figured out where I live. Um, Not in a threatening way, but just like, hey, just so I'm in this town too. And uh, given the photo you showed, that you used for your outro and the thing you showed from the roof, I know exactly you're here, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, I just talked to them. But they're I've I've been approached from people who found out like through the school system, since my son talks about my videos with the science teacher, and like kind of word of mouth things, but not like some random, some rando off the street going, no, it's Greater Shaping. No, not that had that happen. And if it happens, it happens. I'm not sweating it. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. How was not believing in something a belief in something? Oh, that you guys are having a little side conversation. Good for y'all. Good for y'all. Have that side conversation. So before I wrap up, there was a couple. Anybody else in the room? Anybody in the Discord? For those who are just now getting here, see you guys. If you guys have seen my new shirt. Physics does not care if you agree. I'm not really into making like a anti flat earther shirts or anything like that. Let's see. Is there a top chat that I missed? Or is there a super chat that I missed? Let's see. Just 0. Okay, cool. I didn't want to just make sure I didn't miss anybody. So yeah, I'm not really into making the like the Earth is a globe shirts, or flat earthers are stupid shirts. But yeah, just general topics. Yes, facts don't care about your feelings. That's true. Though the people who twist facts do care about your feelings. What is going on here? You guys talking about being atheists, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I don't care if you're religious or not. I'm not. Olus P. Mars said something. What did P. Mars say that got deleted? Can somebody tell me what P. Mars said that got deleted? Did I take it from Shapiro? No. I literally was just like things that I blah, blah, blah scam. Oh, okay. Yeah. So P. Mars, I already talked. You can go back and take a look at the beginning of this video. Fairly early on. Okay, so P Mars was talking about me being a comic book atheist fanboy. No, 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 no. I am not a comic book atheist fanboy. I am an atheist comic book fanboy because it comic book atheist makes it sound like I'm a comic book atheist, like I don't believe in comics. Uh, so I am an atheist comic book fanboy. Not really a fanboy though, because I enjoy the medium. I haven't actually read a new Marvel comic in probably a couple years. I have a subscription. I look at things. I look at old books. I read digital comics, but I'm a fan of the medium. I love the medium of storytelling. So I have friends. I have a friend of mine who was writing Power Man and Iron Fist. Um, uh, Other people who do their own books that I follow them, but I don't just do. I'm not a fanboy. I don't believe. I don't. I'm not a supporter of all comics. It's like I support the medium and enjoy that method of storytelling. But I am not a comic book atheist. I'm an atheist comic book nerd. Comic books are around. That's funny. So hey, someone has a problem, criticizing me for being a comic book atheist fanboy. Oh well. But yeah, I know enough about P Mars to not, give you the light of day. So his was, remember when GS scammed us out of $20,000? I love one. It's $20,000 now, which whenever anybody says, "What happened to $20,000?" I know they don't know what they're talking about. You right off the bat have shown that you don't know what you're talking about. Because one, I wasn't able to raise $20,000. And of the amount I did raise, only three grand or so of it was taken off due to fees. I never got that either. So then you're dealing with the amount I actually did get. But since none of you guys have been paying attention, those of you who are criticizing me on it, you don't know those numbers because you don't care. It does. All you want to do is find a reason to criticize. So whenever someone says what happened to the $20,000, I know that you don't know what you're talking about. But it ended up being more like 16.3. And then what happened with it is I did exactly what I said I would do with it, which was I bought a ticket and I used the excess to pay for the swag. That was the whole point. You do a certain amount and then you make sure there's enough money to pay for the swag and the t-shirts that you get people. And that's it. Now, the ticket was bought. I didn't go on the trip, but I said I was going to buy the ticket, which is what I did. And then the ticket ended up being fraudulent on their part. But I did what I said I was going to do. Now, for those of people who supported me in it, not a single one of them, and I have sent out messages, not a single one of them has said, dude, you scammed me. Give me my money back. Not a single one. I've gotten, of the, I think, 300 or so supporters, I got direct responses from about 160 of them, I think it was, maybe 63, where they directly said, man, that sucks. No worries. I'm supporting you. So if you get money back from the people, do something with it. Or if you get money back, then talk about paying me back. But if you don't get the money back, don't sweat it. Don't feel you need to pay it out of your own pocket. So that is the story. Anybody who asks, send them to this timestamp of this here. But anybody who says, hey man, what happened to $20,000? I know you don't know what you're talking about. Anyone who says I scammed anybody, I know they don't know what they're talking about. And they're just using it as an excuse to try to undermine me as a person because they can't deal with the facts that I talk about. All right, it's 9:35. Time for me to get moving. Have I started doing audiobooks yet? No, I do other audio work for Yeah, surprisingly interesting. Yeah, it was still a scam, but it wasn't executed by me. I was one of the victims of the scam. So that's the difference. If you don't understand the difference, then you're either purposely ignorant or inadvertently ignorant. That's too surprisingly interesting. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. But yeah, there will be some follow up on that whole polar thing. Uh, in a week or so. And what do you think why they scammed you? I don't think they scammed it wasn't directed at me. It was according at least when I talked to the FBI, it was most likely just targeted at high-end travelers. That's why it was advertised a lot in Germany and went through a German ticketing agency because there's a lot of uh, uh, German travelers who like to do unique traveling situations there. So Chris, I think it started as a legit endeavor. I don't think it did. I think it was a legit endeavor on my end, but by the people who put the event together, at least according to the FBI, is most likely they were targeting high end German travelers who were looking to spend money on something unique. That's it. Let's see. Oh, hey, we got a super chat from Never. How did you get that name? Never. Happy Sunday, Jerry. Jerry spelled with a J. Ah, hurts. Hurts. Thanks, Never. Much appreciated. Uh, oh, you got your shirt? Okay, good. Some people, I got a few returned from internationals. Like one went to Thailand, got bounced back or something like that. So I need to find a way of getting that to that person. Um, Michael uh, Jazuski, hit me up separately. I want to give you an update on things. Anybody who uh, was a donor, um, anybody who's a donor to my Patreon, I already put up a video yesterday with an announcement about an upcoming project. Um, yes, it is. Yeah, I am Gerald, but it's Jerry spelled with a J. That's just how it was. That's how my parents did it, and that's how it goes. And so technically, I'm Gerald, even though I don't use that name hardly at all, except for super legal purposes. And Jerry with a J. Do that just to confuse me. Actually, what I'll do is I'm going to send out. You can always just go to the Michael. You can always go to the Kickstarter page, and there's way to send messages there. But today I'm going to put out an update. Actually, I'll just put a link to the video that I already sent out to my patrons. Just an update on something that's going on. So anyone who donated to the Kickstarter, check the Kickstarter page. Probably in a half hour, I'm going to stick in an update somehow. If I can stick one just for the donors, um, I will. I will do that because there are some developments coming up. Let's see. That's funny. No, my mom, when my mom yells at me, she doesn't say Gerald. She would say the full name. And I'm not going to tell you my full name because you will you'll do nothing but call me that. And it's an embarrassing enough middle name that that I think people would make whole videos on it. So, uh, and I don't want to give people ammunition. Thank you very much, Young Blue. Any of my mods on Discord, I'm also going to send you guys a link to a video that I put up to my patrons just as appreciation of you guys being mods. So those of you guys who are mods on my Discord, check that within a half hour just for an update of things as well. Gerald G. Sapient. That'd be funny. Cool. All right, folks. oh man, I meant to do a couple music breaks in this thing just so I find it really annoying, and I'll once this is uploaded completely, it said hardcore Fenton Mud. Nice. Nice Star Trek reference there, man. I like the Star Trek reference. Uh, I know this YouTube tends to put far too many ads on these live streams, and I apologize for that. So once it's uploaded, I'm going to go through and I'll take those down. And that's why I started putting I want to put music breaks in the middle, so then I can just stick the ads in the middle of the music breaks, and you guys can skip them if you want. Uh, maybe donors can get some free merch, or there's their choice, possibly. But yeah, we'll talk. But Young Blue, check the Discord in a little bit. uh, Gerald Barrel. That's funny. All right, this is taking too long. I mean, taking a while to get off this thing, and I have some stuff to prep for. I have some videos to make and some experiments I'm going to be doing, and I need to build some stuff to do some experiments. And that's just a little hint of what's coming up. So thank you very much for your time. The fact that you have interest in the things I have to say, even though I'm just rambling sometimes, is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for sticking with me. And to people in the room, and say goodbye to you all. Victor, I say saying goodbye there. Blackbird, Charger. I'm not down that Charger games. No, I'm not in San Diego. I'm up in Oakland, so that's not even close by. Let's see. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, Young Blue, thanks for your help here. Tech, thanks for your help. I think Shiva was in here as well. Thank you very much. I'll have something for you in the side in a little bit. For those of you who are watching this morning, thank you very much for your time. As always, try to learn something about the world today that you didn't know yesterday. If you can, help someone else do the same, and have a good time doing it. Because if you can't have a good time doing it, why do it? Am I right? All right. Take care, folks.